If we are to understand what it truly means to be the perfect partner, it begins not with gestures, words, or even love itself, but with deep emotional self-awareness. Many people imagine perfection in relationships as a kind of flawless performance. The partner who is always kind, always attentive, always patient. But perfection in this sense is an illusion, a superficial standard that collapses under the weight of human complexity. True relational excellence emerges from self-knowledge, the capacity to understand your own emotions, to recognize your patterns, and to navigate your inner world with clarity before bringing yourself fully into the relational space. Emotional self-awareness is the foundation of empathy. You cannot truly understand another person if you are unaware of your own emotional life. When we are triggered by words, actions, or circumstances, we often react without realizing the source of our response. Anger may arise not because of what the other person did, but because of a fear, an unmet need, or a wound from the past. Anxiety may emerge not from the present situation, but from internalized narratives and old insecurities. Without awareness, we mistake these internal states as truths about our partner, leading to miscommunication, resentment, or even conflict. Developing self-awareness requires deliberate reflection. It asks you to pause and consider, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling it? Is this about the present moment, or is it being colored by past experiences? This is not a superficial exercise of labeling feelings. It is a deep engagement with the internal forces that shape your perceptions, reactions, and choices. It is the act of taking full responsibility for your own emotional experience rather than unconsciously projecting it onto your partner. Self-awareness also demands recognition of recurring patterns. We all have habits of thought and behavior in relationships, ways we avoid vulnerability, defend ourselves, or seek control. The perfect partner is not free from these patterns. They are human after all, but they are conscious of them. They notice when impatience surfaces, when defensiveness rises, or when withdrawal becomes an instinctive response. By observing these tendencies without judgment, they create a space in which choice is possible. Awareness allows them to respond thoughtfully, rather than being swept along by automatic reactions that may harm intimacy. Another critical aspect of emotional self-awareness is understanding one's emotional needs and boundaries. Many conflicts in relationships arise from unspoken needs, unmet expectations, or blurred boundaries. A partner who knows themselves well can articulate what they need and where their limits lie without shame or fear. They can ask for support, request space, or express desire in ways that are clear and constructive. This clarity benefits the relationship because it reduces confusion, prevents resentment, and models healthy emotional expression. Self-awareness also enables genuine empathy. When you understand your own emotions, you can more accurately and compassionately understand your partner's experience. Empathy is not merely imagining what another feels. It is the capacity to engage with their emotional reality while maintaining clarity about your own. A partner who lacks self-awareness may mirror their partner's feelings in ways that are distorted or reactive, confusing their own needs with those of the other person. Emotional clarity prevents this collapse, allowing one to be present fully for the other without losing oneself. Philosophically, emotional self-awareness is a practice of presence. It asks you to inhabit your own interior life fully, to confront discomfort, uncertainty, and vulnerability, and to bring that conscious self into the relationship. Love without presence is reactive, dependent, and often performative. Love with self-awareness is deliberate, grounded, and courageous. It allows for conflict without fear, for intimacy without codependence, and for connection that deepens over time rather than becoming brittle. Developing emotional self-awareness is not a task with a clear endpoint. It is an ongoing commitment to observe, reflect, and engage with your own inner world day by day. It requires humility, patience, and honesty, because there will always be new triggers, new wounds, and new challenges to navigate. But the reward is profound. The ability to enter a relationship not as a projection of unexamined needs or fears, but as a fully present, conscious, and responsive partner. When you cultivate this awareness, the ripple effects on the relationship are transformative. Conflicts become opportunities for understanding, not battlegrounds. Vulnerability becomes a bridge rather than a threat. Intimacy deepens because both partners can meet each other with clarity, care, and authenticity. Emotional self-awareness is the habit that allows all other relational qualities, trust, communication, growth, to flourish. So, the question is not whether you love your partner, but whether you are willing to know yourself deeply enough to bring your conscious, attentive, and responsible self into the relationship. Because the perfect partner is not one who is flawless in action, but one who is fully aware, fully present, and fully willing to engage with both their own inner world and that of the person they love. Emotional self-awareness is not optional. It is the conscious practice that transforms love from a reactive force into a deliberate, resilient, and deeply connecting partnership. If emotional self-awareness is the soil in which love takes root, then trust is the scaffolding that allows a relationship to rise and endure. And yet trust is often misunderstood. Many imagine it as a singular moment, a grand gesture, a confession, or the avoidance of betrayal. But trust is not static. It is a living, evolving practice, built incrementally through consistency, integrity, and accountability. To be the perfect partner is to embody trust in ways that are visible, tangible, and deeply felt, even in the smallest of daily actions. Trust begins with consistency. It is not created overnight, and it is rarely the result of dramatic displays. Instead, it emerges in the quiet, repeated acts of reliability, keeping promises, following through on commitments, and showing up even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. These actions convey a profound message: I am present, I am reliable, and you can depend on me. The ordinary gestures, the call you make because you said you would, the attention you give when your partner speaks, the reliability in small routines, accumulate over time. They form a subtle architecture of dependability that sustains intimacy and emotional safety. Conversely, inconsistency, even in minor matters, can erode trust silently and steadily, creating a pattern of doubt that is hard to repair. Trust is inseparable from integrity. Integrity is the alignment of words and actions, the consistency between intention, expression, and behavior. It is honesty, transparency, and the courage to confront uncomfortable truths rather than evade them. A partner who acts with integrity reassures their loved one that promises are meaningful, that words carry weight, and that intentions are genuine. Integrity extends beyond preventing deception. It is the lived commitment to being reliable and truthful in all dimensions of the relationship, including emotional, practical, and relational responsibilities. Without it, the foundation of intimacy is compromised, even if affection and desire remain. Equally important is the willingness to repair breaches of trust. Mistakes are inevitable. No partner is perfect. The measure of relational resilience is not in avoiding failure, but in the response to it. Repair requires humility, accountability, and deliberate action, acknowledging harm, taking responsibility, and actively working to restore confidence. A partner who admits, "I was wrong, I see how this hurt you, and I want to make it right," demonstrates trustworthiness in a way that perfection never could. Repair not only restores trust, it strengthens it, proving that the relationship can endure errors without fracturing. Emotional reliability is another essential dimension of trust. It is not enough to keep promises on paper. One must also be attuned to the partner's emotional world. Consistent emotional responsiveness, listening with attention, validating feelings, and offering empathy communicates that the relationship is safe for vulnerability. Emotional unpredictability, withdrawal, or defensiveness, on the other hand, can undermine trust even when commitments are technically met. The perfect partner understands that stability is both practical and emotional, and they act to ensure their partner experiences both. Philosophically, trust is a courageous act of vulnerability. To trust is to accept uncertainty and risk while remaining open to connection. No one can guarantee that their partner will never disappoint or unintentionally hurt them. To trust is to engage fully in the relational process, despite this uncertainty. This willingness to risk emotional exposure is one of the most profound expressions of love and relational maturity. It requires confidence, self-awareness, and the understanding that intimacy thrives not in control, but in connection. Trust cannot be demanded, it must be earned. The perfect partner cultivates trust moment by moment, choice by choice. Every action, word, and gesture communicates reliability, or the lack of it. Over time, this cumulative consistency becomes a quiet, stabilizing force in the relationship. It is no longer something consciously monitored, but a lived reality that allows intimacy, desire, and emotional safety to flourish naturally. Moreover, trust strengthens over time when nurtured intentionally. It transforms the relationship from a fragile exchange into a resilient, enduring connection. When partners experience consistent reliability, integrity, and emotional presence, they feel safe to be vulnerable, to express desire, and to engage in the shared exploration of life together. Doubt and anxiety diminish, and space is created for curiosity, play, and deeper understanding. Trust is the invisible currency that makes these experiences possible. Ultimately, being the perfect partner is less about flawless action and more about consistent, intentional presence. It is about creating reliability, embodying integrity, taking responsibility for mistakes, and sustaining emotional responsiveness. It is about embracing the vulnerability inherent in connection and demonstrating through repeated, tangible acts that you are a person worth depending on. Trust is not a gift lightly given, nor is it a one-time achievement. It is the daily, conscious work of building a relational environment in which intimacy, desire, and growth can thrive. Trust is not simply earned, it is lived, moment by moment, choice by choice, in every action, word, and gesture that communicates presence, integrity, and unwavering reliability. If trust is the scaffold of a strong relationship, then communication is the living, breathing force that animates it. And yet, communication is one of the most misunderstood aspects of intimacy. Many people assume that speaking or being honest is sufficient, that simply sharing thoughts and feelings automatically creates connection. But words alone rarely suffice. True communication in love is the deliberate, mindful exchange that cultivates understanding, builds trust, and deepens intimacy. It is an art as much as it is a skill, and it requires presence, patience, and courage. Communication begins with honesty, but honesty alone is not enough. Speaking your truth without awareness of its impact can be as destructive as silence. The perfect partner is one who communicates with both clarity and compassion. They articulate their needs, desires, boundaries, and emotions in ways that invite dialogue rather than provoke defensiveness. For example, saying, "I feel hurt" when our plans change at the last minute communicates a personal experience without assigning blame. Whereas, "You never keep your word" triggers defensiveness and shuts down conversation. Clarity of expression allows your partner to understand not just what you are feeling, but why, and invites them to respond in a considered, empathetic way. Listening is the other side of the equation, and it is equally essential. But listening in love is rarely passive. It requires active engagement, curiosity, and the suspension of immediate judgment. To listen well is to enter your partner's emotional world without attempting to fix it or reinterpret it through the lens of your own needs. This type of listening is transformative because it communicates understanding and validation. When someone feels genuinely heard, they are more likely to be open, vulnerable, and responsive. Listening is not about agreeing, it is about acknowledging the reality of the other person's experience while maintaining connection. Timing and emotional regulation are critical components of effective communication. Difficult conversations rarely succeed when initiated in moments of anger, exhaustion, or distraction. The perfect partner understands the importance of pausing, reflecting, and centering themselves before engaging in dialogue. This is not avoidance, it is intentionality. By responding rather than reacting, one ensures that words become tools of connection rather than weapons of conflict. Emotional self-awareness underpins this capacity, allowing a partner to recognize when their own feelings are influencing the conversation and to communicate from a place of clarity rather than impulse. Avoidance is a common but destructive habit in relationships. Many shy away from difficult topics, hoping that tension will resolve itself. But unspoken issues rarely disappear. They accumulate, often manifesting as subtle resentment, withdrawal, or passive aggression. Courageous communication, by contrast, engages discomfort intentionally. It addresses conflict openly while maintaining respect and care. The perfect partner does not seek confrontation for its own sake, but they do not shy away from the conversations necessary to preserve understanding, intimacy, and trust. Communication is also about expressing the positive as much as navigating the difficult. Appreciation, curiosity, desire, and joy are often overlooked in everyday dialogue, yet these expressions sustain relational vitality. Small acknowledgments, "I appreciate how you handled that situation," or "I enjoy spending this time with you," reinforce connection in ways that build desire, deepen intimacy, and foster emotional safety. In relationships, what is unsaid can erode as much as what is mishandled. The perfect partner actively engages in affirming communication, recognizing that love is nourished as much by attention and curiosity as by conflict resolution. Philosophically, communication is an act of presence. It requires inhabiting your own emotional reality fully while remaining attentive to your partner's. It is a delicate balance between expressing your truth and creating space for the other's truth. It demands courage because vulnerability is inherent in speaking authentically and listening openly. And yet, this vulnerability is what transforms ordinary interactions into acts of connection. Communication is not merely the exchange of information, it is the medium through which intimacy, trust, and desire are cultivated. The perfect partner approaches communication as a daily, conscious practice. They refine their words, tone, and timing. They listen actively and empathetically, even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. They recognize that every conversation is an opportunity to strengthen connection, clarify understanding, and deepen intimacy. They embrace dialogue as a living process, one that evolves alongside the relationship itself. Ultimately, communication is the mechanism through which love is expressed, experienced, and sustained. It transforms potential conflict into understanding, vulnerability into intimacy, and emotional expression into relational depth. Without mindful communication, even the strongest feelings can become fragmented or misinterpreted, eroding the connection over time. So, the question is not whether you speak to your partner, but whether your words and the listening that accompanies them consistently build understanding, safety, and closeness. Are your interactions bridging gaps or widening them? Are you communicating in a way that invites presence, trust, and connection? Communication is not simply the exchange of words. It is the deliberate, courageous practice of creating understanding, empathy, and intimacy in every moment of relational life. If emotional self-awareness, trust, and communication are the foundations of being the perfect partner, then growth is the habit that ensures the relationship does not stagnate. Growth in love is not a one-time achievement or a dramatic transformation. It is an ongoing, conscious practice of evolving individually and together. Without growth, even the most loving relationships can become predictable, routine, or constrained by fear and habit. To be the perfect partner is to embrace change, to cultivate curiosity, and to support both your own development and that of your partner, creating a relationship that remains dynamic, resilient, and profoundly fulfilling. Growth begins with the self. The perfect partner is committed to continual self-examination, reflection, and emotional development. This is not about attaining an idealized version of perfection, but about understanding patterns, triggers, and blind spots that shape behavior in the relationship. When you recognize your fears, insecurities, and habitual reactions, you gain the capacity to respond with intentionality rather than react impulsively. You become someone who can hold space for both your own emotional experience and that of your partner, which deepens trust, empathy, and intimacy. Personal growth is never linear. There will be setbacks, recurring patterns, and moments of discomfort. The commitment to evolve, however, is what allows love to remain vibrant over time. Equally important is relational growth. The understanding that a relationship is a living system, constantly shaped by the experiences, desires, and transformations of both partners. When one partner evolves, the dynamic shifts. The perfect partner is willing to engage with these changes openly and without fear. They celebrate their partner's growth rather than resisting it, and they see change as an opportunity to deepen connection rather than a threat to stability. Supporting growth in your partner requires humility and curiosity, and it demands a willingness to navigate uncertainty together. It is in this space of shared evolution that relationships thrive. Growth in love also requires balance, a delicate equilibrium between independence and interdependence. Too much independence can create emotional distance, while too much interdependence can stifle individuality and curiosity. The perfect partner maintains a strong sense of self while remaining fully present in the shared life of the relationship. They nurture personal passions and interests without letting them fragment the partnership, and they engage with their partner's pursuits without controlling or diminishing them. This balance allows both individuals to flourish while maintaining a deep, sustaining connection. Curiosity and novelty are essential components of growth. Desire, intimacy, and engagement thrive when the relationship continues to introduce elements of exploration and discovery. Growth does not require constant reinvention or dramatic gestures. It can be as simple as exploring a shared interest, trying a new experience together, or engaging in conversations that challenge assumptions and deepen understanding. Predictability may bring comfort, but novelty brings life. The perfect partner understands that relational vitality depends on maintaining a sense of wonder and curiosity about both themselves and their partner. Growth is also inseparable from patience and compassion. As individuals evolve, tensions and misunderstandings will naturally arise. Change can be unsettling, and differences may challenge previously held assumptions. The perfect partner navigates these moments with empathy, patience, and a willingness to engage constructively rather than withdraw. Growth is not about eliminating discomfort. It is about approaching it intentionally, holding space for dialogue, and supporting adaptation. Through this process, relationships become resilient, capable of weathering life's uncertainties without sacrificing intimacy or trust. Philosophically, growth in love is an acceptance of impermanence. People are not static, and neither is desire or emotional closeness. To resist change is to resist life itself. The perfect partner embraces the evolving nature of both the self and the relationship, understanding that love is not a fixed achievement, but a living, co-created experience. They participate consciously in this evolution, adapting to change, cultivating curiosity, and fostering an environment where both partners can flourish. Growth transforms love from a passive state into an active, ongoing practice. Ultimately, supporting growth is what distinguishes a good partner from the perfect one. It allows the relationship to remain vibrant, connected, and alive. It deepens intimacy, strengthens trust, sustains desire, and ensures that the partnership continues to challenge and inspire both individuals. Growth turns love into a dynamic collaboration, where two people evolve together, learning, adapting, and expanding the possibilities of connection. So the question is not whether your relationship is comfortable or whether love feels easy today. The question is whether you are willing to embrace growth, personally and relationally, acknowledging the uncertainty, complexity, and beauty that change brings. Are you ready to evolve alongside your partner, supporting their journey while nurturing your own? Growth is not optional in love. It is the conscious, courageous practice that keeps a relationship alive, evolving, and deeply connected.